Hey guys, it's Nick from this here. Today I'm going to be bringing you a Dead by Daylight topic video that I've been wanting to do for a while now. I'm just going to be listing a few horror characters that I would love to see added to Dead by Daylight. I know that every new character obviously has 3 unique perks, but I'm not very creative with perk ideas and I find it hard to come up with balanced perks, so I'm only going to be coming up with a couple of perk ideas for this video. It's more focusing on the idea of the character being in the game and what their powers/attacks could be. So to start off my list, I'm going to start with the character I want added to Dead by Daylight the most, Chucky. So this might sound a little crazy, but I thought a unique way to make Chucky work as a killer would be to have Charles Lee Ray in his human version as the main killer, and to make his power the Chucky doll, which could be controlled once it's thrown out. It definitely would involve new mechanics. It could be similar to the Twins chapter, how Charlotte can throw Victor out and you can control him, something like that. I think that an interesting perk they could give Chucky is the ability to turn, let's say, 3 random chests into toy boxes at the start of the match. Toy boxes would look identical to any normal item chest, except when a survivor finishes opening one, instead of an item that would be inside, there would be a small Chucky doll that will explode and make a sound notification alerting the killer. And obviously when this perk is unlocked at level 40 and used by other killers, they could just put nothing in the box if they really wanted to. But with the Chucky TV show now airing, I think it would be a perfect time to finally include the horror icon in DBD. And even if they don't do something like my idea, I know they can make doll Chucky work. They proved they can make small killers work with Victor. And if we had to pick a survivor for the Child's Play Chucky chapter, obviously adult Andy would be an easy choice for a survivor. Lastly, for Chucky, I think it would be a dream come true if they could get Brad Dourif to do some voice lines for Chucky in-game, just like how they got Bruce Campbell to do some voice lines for Ash Williams. I think it would be great to hear Chucky's little quips and laugh while you get chased by him in-game. The next killer on my list is none other than the Xenomorph from the Alien movies. Not a classic slasher villain, but nonetheless, Alien is an iconic horror movie, and it would be really cool to get Xenomorph in DBD. The melee weapon could be something generic like its claw, kind of what they did for the Demogorgon, but I would really like it if they gave it something unique, like its tail. Like it extends its tail around and uses that as a melee. The Xenomorph's power could be flicking its acidic blood at the opponent to cause damage, because when a Xenomorph gets injured in the movie, it's been proven that their blood is made of acid, and in Mortal Kombat X, it was one of his moves that he could do. He could hurt himself and flick acid at the opponent. I think something like that could be cool as sort of like a ranged killer. And obviously, Xenomorph, I think, should get a crouch just like Pighead and Ghostface have, except instead of being slower while crouched, I think that Xenomorph should be able to move quicker, probably not able to attack while crouched, but it would be a quick way for him to traverse the map. And it would be really, really, really cool if they added the mechanic for the Xenomorph to crawl alongside walls and the ceilings of maps, because that would be just perfect for the Xenomorph in the game. Next on my list is Pennywise. His melee weapon could be him either biting at survivors with his giant mouth and sharp teeth, which I do think would be cool, but I also think it would be hard to animate. So I think that they could just default by doing his hand swipe and it'll transform into that weird spider pincer form that he has. He could add a new status effect to the game that the longer a chase goes on, a new effect called Fear will come into play. Similar to Freddy's Dream World, except the map gets really dark and foggy, making it harder for the survivor to see anything, and when they're doing a generator or healing other survivors, skill checks would pop up more frequently with a shorter input time. His power could be sewer traversal, since Pennywise's most iconic scene is him in the sewer. There could be manholes set in certain points of the map, and when Pennywise enters one, it could be this giant underground part of the map that only he can access, and he gets a speed boost while in the sewers. He'd be able to jump out from other manholes to try and get ahead of other survivors. I was trying to think really hard on what I could do for his power, and I know that's still not great because it's just something he can do, not exactly his power, but whatever they end up doing for Pennywise, I just want to see him included, and I would be super interested to see what kind of a thing they would do for that character. It would be interesting to give him a perk that temporarily puts the survivor in this so-called fear status effect if they stayed alone for too long. I know some of the developers have spoken about wanting Pennywise's inclusion in Dead by Daylight before, but I do imagine since he is a Stephen King license, it's probably a lot harder to obtain Pennywise than it would be with most characters, but never say never. Now for the most unusual character on my list, it's Brandon Breyer from the Brightburn movie. I get it's a little bit more unusual, but ever since I watched the Brightburn movie, I haven't been able to shake the thought of how cool he could be in Dead by Daylight. Behavior Interactive has talked in the past about why a flying killer wouldn't work, so I think in order to make Brightburn work as a balanced killer, they would have to remove his ability to fly. It could be explained through the character lore that Brightburn was too powerful and too defiant as he's a child still, so the entity had to weaken his abilities as it pulled him into the realm. Brightburn's melee weapon could simply be his fist, punching the survivors with super speed, a blitz speed punch if you will. His power could be a number of things, but I think the coolest would be his laser eyes. It could work as a charged projectile. The longer the attack is charged, the farther the laser beams will reach across the map. Obviously, it would have a small cooldown after every use. If Brightburn hits the survivor with the laser beam once, they'll be put under a burn status effect that only lasts for a minute. If he manages to hit them with the laser again in that time, they'll be in the injured status. He could also have a new perk that if a survivor wiggles free from his grasp, he enters a state of rage for 30 seconds once per match, where he moves much faster and puts all survivors near him in the exposed status. Now the final character on my list is Jason Voorhees. I know he probably won't happen, and I will explain that in a minute, but this is my wish list, so let me have this. Jason would be a slower killer like Michael Myers. His melee weapon would obviously be the iconic machete. Jason has a variety of abilities that they could use for his power, but I think it would be cool to give him the ability to teleport around the map. And they could give him a perk that lets him see survivors' auras for a longer period of time whenever they are revealed to him. I'd love to see what kind of kill animation Behavior Interactive could come up with for his Mori too. Sadly, as cool as Jason would be, the King of Horror will most likely not be in Dead by Daylight because of a lawsuit which, long story short, the rights of Jason and the Friday the 13th franchise are fully under a guy named Victor Miller's use, and he doesn't seem to like anybody else gaining profit from his series, hence why the Friday the 13th game died and can no longer make new DLC. The Friday the 13th game proved that Jason works perfectly for these types of games. It's a shame that Jason will never make it to Dead by Daylight, but if he did, Tommy Jarvis would be a perfect survivor to add in a Friday the 13th chapter. I could go on with characters I would love to see added to Dead by Daylight, but these are definitely my top 5 most wanted. Let me know in the comments below what your thoughts are on my list and who you would like to see included in the game. Thanks for watching, guys. As always, this has been Nickfamous. See you later.
Let's see how he likes a Kamehameha!